Hey everybody, Jennifer Louden, jenniferlouden.com. I wanted to talk about mistakes today. I get a fair amount of emails and comments from Oasis members and readers about fear of making mistakes. And I gotta tell you, there's always a little part of me that goes, huh? What? And I realized that it's because I am so mistake prone. I make so many mistakes that I've had to learn to really have a lot of creative ways to deal with making mistakes. And I'm not perfect at it by any means, but if I hadn't learned those things, I don't think I'd ever create anything. I don't know if I get out of bed in the morning. I mean, I have learning disabilities. I'm one of those personalities that loves to rush in and do stuff and then kind of go, oh crap, didn't really plan that out so well, right? Just a lot of the ways that I'm built lend themselves to making mistakes. So I thought I might share with you a few perspectives to maybe shift or aerate how you think about mistakes. The first one is to look at the very idea of, is there such a thing as a mistake? That weird thought popped into my head the other day when I was running. And I thought, well, hello, how many did I make today? And Aleppo and the presidential election, and yeah, there's mistakes happening. I mean, the world is full of mistakes, so they're real. Don't get all new age on me, brain. But it made me start to question our stories about mistakes, our interpretations about mistakes. So I went to the etymology of the word, 14th century, two roots. One is to cause offense, and one is misunderstand or misinterpret. So the first thought that I want to share with you is, what are you holding as a mistake that might be a misunderstanding or a misinterpretation with yourself or with someone else? And what are you going to do to check that out? One of the things that I learned a long time ago in my ontological coaching training was we live in a world of assessments, stories. That's how our brains work. And one of the ways that we can get clarity is in any situation, especially something like this where we feel like there's a mistake, we can look for what are the facts. Now, facts are things that our culture would agree on, maybe a court of law would agree on. They don't have opinion words. So a fact is I have a blue jean shirt on. An opinion would be it's a nice blue jean shirt, or it's too dull for the camera blue jean shirt, right? So those are opinions, and everybody could have different opinions or assessment. But the fact is, this is made out of a denim material, and we could agree in a lot of cultures that would be watching this video in English that this is a denim shirt. So is there something about a mistake that you've made that would be helpful to go back and look for the facts? That might begin to give you some perspective on any misinterpretations, misunderstandings. But if you're like, no, it was a mistake and I committed an offense against myself or someone else, then what is the act of forgiveness that you're going to offer yourself, or the apology that you're going to offer someone else? What is the responsibility that you need to take, the action that you need to take to let this go? Or are you wanting to pull it around with you and hold on to it and carry it on your back to prevent you from moving forward in your life? Mistakes are a way for fear to grab hold of us and say, no, oh no, look what you did, you can't move forward. That's a lie. Do what you can to forgive. Do what you can to apologize. Know that it's imperfect. Do what you can to learn, maybe by making a few notes in your journal, knowing you will forget most of it. Hey, welcome to being human. But don't hold out from offering yourself that forgiveness or attempt at forgiveness, or someone else the apology, or asking someone else to explain or give you an apology, so that you can have an excuse, a reason, a barrier between you and what you really want to create. I want to say one more thing about going back and looking at the facts, because sometimes we think something is a mistake and it really wasn't. But we let it grow into a mistake, and again, it's just the way our minds work. We look for the negative. Fear likes to make things bigger and harsher than they are. So if there's something you need to check out with someone, hey, did you think that was a mistake? Hey, did I make a promise to you that you feel was broken? I want some clarity on that. That can be the level of fact checking that you might need to do, again, if there's other people involved. Another story I hear about mistakes a lot is, I did X. I chose this job or this partner or this house to live in or this project to work on, and it was a mistake. But I know if I had chosen Y, that guy or woman or house or project, everything would be better and everything would be different. How do you know that? What are you basing that on? You might have facts, great. But we do this thing, right, where it's just like our future self next week is going to be so much more disciplined than our self this week, right? We do this thing in our minds where our future self is just so much more magnificent and resourced and incredible and smart. It's kind of fun. It's not true. We don't want to base our actions on that. But we do the same thing with our possible future self that went off in that other direction. We make up a lot of scenarios or stories that might not be so fact-based. So can you do any investigation there? What your life might have looked like? What might have happened for real? How do you know? You're probably going to find you don't know, but it's worth giving it some thought. How do you actually know why it would have been better? I've been playing with the idea that if I'm making mistakes, it's possible I'll have less regrets in my life. I went through a period in my life where I was really struggling. It was during my divorce and my dad's illness and death, and there definitely was a period of time after that I shut down. I was really struggling and ended up with a lot of feelings of regrets. And so I've been playing with the idea that I now offer to you is if I'm trying things and I'm making more mistakes, is it possible that I will have less regrets? Is it another way to flip it around and go, hey, it didn't work out, but now I know. So just a possibility. When have you loved or benefited from a mistake? It reminds me of that folk story. A man buys a horse and all of his neighbors are like, oh my God, what a great horse, what a great price. And the man says, well, we'll see. And then his son rides the horse and falls off and breaks his leg really badly. And everyone's like, oh, that's so horrible, that horrible horse. And the man says, we'll see. And then the soldiers come to conscript people for the war, but they can't conscript his son because his son has a broken leg. And the people are like, oh, you're so lucky. And the man says, we'll see. And it goes on like that. So it's really useful to look back. It could be something as small as I picked the wrong paint color at the hardware store and it turned out to be a great color. I put the wrong finish on my canvas, but it turned out to have a great kind of shine to it. Or I lost part of a manuscript, but it turned out that I wrote something actually much better or more true in its place. They could be small things. So maybe start a little page in your journal where as they come to you, the mistakes that turned into something beneficial, interesting, useful, or even beautiful. Related to that, not to get too Pollyanna on you, but what newness, what freshness could possibly arise now in this cleared ground from a mistake? Mistakes often end something or clear something out of our life. Is there a space now that is beckoning to you to fill in a new way, with a new relationship, with a new project, with a new direction? Is there a way that you're looking more at what's gone, lost, didn't work out, and missing a possibility for freshness that's here now? It might be too soon to consider that if the mistake is raw. Again, just an idea. Who have you become because of a particular misstep? What has changed for you? One of the reasons why we get caught in our mistakes and twist ourselves around the axle endlessly about them is because we forget that we were doing the best we knew how in that moment. We forget that what we know now wasn't what we knew then. Even 5 minutes later, we know more after we've tried something and been in action. So what I'm asking you to do is look at what you learned from being in action, not to judge the person who knew what they knew now and was doing the very best they could. You learn and you make mistakes because you're in action. Don't let your stories about those actions become a reason to not be in action, but instead a way to inform your future actions. Here's my last idea about mistakes. If there were no such thing, if that idea that I had when I was running the other day was true, if we just hung out there together for a moment, there's no such thing as a mistake. What would you do on your creative project or your scary shit today? And can you go do it right now? I hope these ideas are useful and that maybe they gave you a little perspective or softness or just some air around any heaviness around mistakes. I don't mean to make it sound simple or psychobabble. They can be incredibly painful, and I have made some incredibly painful ones. But I know locking them away in the shame, blame chest only serves to make them bigger and harder and a block to living my life fully with an open heart. May we all be kind to ourselves. May we all remember that when we are kind to ourselves and we love ourselves, anything is possible.